democratic devolution as a means of deepening the participatory and inclusive nature of Ghana's democracy has been on the table for some time now. The Institute for Democratic Governance has been at the forefront of that battle, working hard to get Ghana to elect its officials at the district level through competitive multi-party politics. What will it take to bring that change about? The current local government system was first introduced in 1987. That's when the district assemblies came into being at the local level. It was meant over time to increase self-rule for districts. We began with deconcentration, where executive power was ceded through delegation. The ultimate goal was devolution, where the country's 216 districts would be autonomous from central power.
They are not completely independent. They will depend still on central government for a whole lot, but they have scopes where they make decisions on their own and determine or define their priorities, development priorities.
When a central government takes a decision that some decisions concerning localities are just too important for me to take, therefore, I will transfer power and resources to the people living in the area to take those decisions and apply those resources themselves to solve their problems. That is devolution.
In reality, though, power continues to be over-centralized and is exclusive only to the holders of power. In other words, the winner of the election. This situation is further aggravated by the powers granted the executive president under our constitution.
The way we've designed the system, which is what people have rightly described as winner takes all, because it's the president who appoints everybody, into local government, in this executive sphere of government, distinct from the legislature or parliament. The president controls everything. At the moment, we have 216 districts, of course, including municipal and metropolitan, and they are not elected. So that's the hub of winner takes all.
I asked IDEG's Kwesi Jonah what was wrong with the winner-takes-all system.
Sometimes the party that wins the presidency won by just some insignificant percentage when the winner of the election obtained only 41,000 votes more than the loser of the election. How can you use such a small proportion of votes to take control of every single unit of the country? No, it is not fair.
As President of Ghana,
and yet there are those who argue that inclusive government already exists in Parliament. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete has a different view.
You can't accommodate democratically, create a basis for participation in government only in Parliament. You can't. And even the numbers tend to undermine, the inclusiveness of what happens in Parliament. So you have a force outside that is busy. It says, well, I have nothing to do in the executive arm. I can get into local government, where in all democracies, local government is open to political parties to compete.
Let me give you the example of Kenya. Odinga lost the presidential election to Uhuru Kenyatta, but Odinga's party controls half of the 47 counties. And they are managing the resources, everything in these 50% of the counties in Kenya. So, there's peace. When you devolve power, there is no business of winner takes all. You may win the presidential election, and if you're not lucky, you may not win even the majority of devolved governments in the country.
Room after room was searched as the security personnel looked for the alleged stolen ballot boxes. The mob was still, however, not satisfied.
The problem with one side monopolizing all power is that political elections become a do-or-die affair, and in some cases this has led to violence. Dr. Tupari, a constitutional law expert at the Faculty of Law of the University of Ghana, describes how desperate politicians are to hold on to power.
After we have lost power, we are nothing. And if we are nothing, then who are we until the next 4 years? That feeling of emptiness, and remember, in this country, politics is like an investment. People put huge sums of money hoping that they will win power to recoup. So if they lose power, there's this feeling that, I've lost everything.
And so politicians fight tooth and nail to retain political power, even at the risk of political instability.
You can tell the turbulence. If you compare probably elections in 1996 Even 2004 to now, you find out that increasingly people are getting anxious. There is real fear, palpable fear.
I decided to visit the Ghana Peace Council to determine whether the risk of election-related violence was really realistic. Reverend Asante, I know that you are with the Ghana Peace Council and have been quite concerned about possible outbreaks of violence at the election time. How serious is it?
I can see that 2016, we are in for it, in the sense that the stakes are very, very high. The trust when it comes to the functions of the institution that is to referee the election, the Electoral Commission, is very, very low.
Is the threat of violence over-exaggerated?
I would rather have somebody who will be warning us and telling us to be very careful and to ensure that we do not allow violence to occur than somebody who tells us, oh, there's nothing. We are peaceful people. And I don't think that we have to exaggerate this and that. Because you never know.
You've been involved with the Peace Council for a while. You're worried, aren't you?
I love my country. You know, I always say that what is it that we are looking for when we are vying for power? It is power for what? And I keep asking people, what are you voting for? You are voting for the development of Ghana. You are voting to ensure that our nation moves forward. I mean, I watch Al Jazeera and other places showing us what is happening in other countries. Mighty structures within seconds are blown away.
Kenya, in 2007, after just one election, more than 1,000, almost 2,700 people were killed. But before this election, Kenya was considered to be one of the most peaceful, most stable countries in Africa. The same thing applies to Cote d'Ivoire.
Well, clearly the issue of peace or violence, if you like, at elections is not something we can take for granted. I think it's quite clear that there's been an increasing trend, and unless we make a special effort to work on it, we run the risk of threatening our whole democracy. But perhaps we have no real democracy when multi-party elections are not allowed at the district level.
If we are going to elect people to be chief executives or mayors, we have a multi-party system. Let the parties contest.
When you devolve power and you allow political parties to contest in all these localities for power, what you get is that a party may lose a presidential election. A party may not get a majority in parliament, but it may be running the affairs of so many district councils, district assemblies, and so on and so forth.
That is how you have a more inclusive government. That is how you shift them from doing the things that would even distract you as a government. Your policies will not be shaped by the need to win elections alone. Your policies will be shaped by the needs of the people and the long-term vision you have to transform a country and its economy.
Dr. Akwete explains it further.
If you open it up to elections, the electorate is going to redistribute the 216 districts, municipalities and metropolis amongst the parties. Initially, the major parties are going to take the chunk of it, and with time you find out that voters will shift. The important determinant will not be ethnicity or NDC, but your delivery, your development performance.
The issue of opening up elections at the local level is nothing new, but clearly political parties have been hesitant in the past to implement it when in government.
In 2000, NDC did not appear to be so much in favor of electing. In 2008, they made some pronouncement. In 2012, they went further. This is the idea of they are going to increase the number of nominees, the Public Services Commission will shortlist and people elect. But they were still not going to put it on the party platform. NPP was a bit vague. After President Kufuor couldn't do it, they just left it there. If you look at 2008 and 12, they were not so clear on what they're going to do. Come 2016, we almost have all the parties now saying that we should open up local government to the political parties. Our people know political parties, and they participate in political parties' elections.
So why don't we just go ahead and do it?
Political parties are not allowed to participate in local government. It's in the constitution. So you have to go there and change it. Whether it will be 2/3 or whether it will be by referendum, it is an issue that the politicians must agree it is in the interest of the country. So they will do it. If they did that, it will go through and it can be implemented.
This amendment is very necessary to enable all the parties, not just the big boys, but all the parties to effectively participate in running our decentralized local government system.
What are you doing to ensure this happens?
IDEG has, since 2014, been organizing a national campaign, very strong advocacy for this to change. And this year, in fact, only last year, we went around again talking to influential politicians, institutions, and so on and so forth. This year, we are going to engage in the same campaign in the hope that after the election, very vital decisions may be taken in this direction.
To get another perspective on the issue of electing DCs and the concept of power sharing, I went to Parliament to speak to the MP for Sunyani East, Kwesi Amayotreme, who has spent 30 years working in local government.
Personally, I'm in support of the election of district chief executives. It's been my opinion for quite some time now. It's all about accountability. In most of the African countries, maybe Ghana is gradually becoming the exception where we appoint district chief executives. I think the time has come for us to give a second thought to it. I don't agree with the reason people normally cite that Ghana is a growing democracy. We consider ourselves to be the beacon of democracy, the star of Africa and all that. You go to some other countries, I'm not demeaning any other country in Africa. They just came out of wars. Liberia, Sierra Leone, all those countries elect their chief executives on partisan lines.
I spoke with Dr. Tupare to find out what steps are needed to change the constitutional position on the matter.
Taking that is an entrenched provision. We will require that the bill which we currently have, which is being proposed by the Constitutional Review Commission through the Constitutional Implementation Commission. It has been submitted to the Speaker of Parliament, it has been referred to Council of State for his advice, is back to Parliament. First reading, after first reading, it is being submitted to a national referendum. Then from that, at the national referendum, we are expected to have 40% of the registered voters voting, and then 75% of them voting in favor of such an amendment.
If this was to happen, the political landscape in Ghana would change significantly.
Politics will change. It is not going to be putting your party supporter who can do a job, but he's your party member. This philosophy that I can't work with somebody from a different, who is not from my party in the executive arm of government, it will change many things. It will change many things. So it's the most strategic thing to do now.